Story 1. My wife confessed several months after our wedding to an affair she had prior to us getting married. She had sex with a coworker a few times before we were married. Long-time lurker to this forum and first-time poster. I recently discovered new information about my wife's affair 15 years after D-Day. The quick TLDR background story is that my wife confessed several months after our wedding to an affair she had prior to us getting married. She had sex with a coworker a few times before we were married. Honestly, the most devastating thing that has happened to me, and it has been a long road to reconciliation. One of the reasons I stayed and worked toward reconciliation is that she confessed. She could have easily not told me, and I would have never known. She seemingly did everything right, from answering all my questions, quitting her job, starting individual therapy, being transparent with everything, and showing real remorse for her actions. I know for a fact that she has been loyal to me for the entire 15 years we have been married. Recently, I have discovered some information that I did not know about the affair. I can't discuss how I found out for OPSEC reasons, but I was able to learn many details about it. I can confirm she was truthful about many things, including the number of times they had sex, but there were a few things she either omitted or lied about. What I thought was a last fling right before marriage was actually an emotional affair as well, although she never loved him. It lasted for much longer than I believed, approx. 10 months, and she lied about performing or L on him. Basically, the emotional component, the duration, and the or they're the main points. Everything else I found out was congruent with what she told me. Now I don't know how to handle this new information. We have a great marriage and have been happy. We have 2 young children together, so I can't just blow up this marriage after 15 years after discovering some new info. She does not know that I know this information. Not sure on how to proceed, as this place a new burden upon me. Reader comment: spontaneous confessions through guilt are rare. There may have been a more pragmatic reason that she confessed. The traditional agony and advice for a short-term meaningless affair is to cut all contact, recommit to the relationship, and work on yourself to fix the issues within yourself. The agony aunt will also tell a wayward to take the secret to the grave. She didn't do that. Why? She had gotten away with it. Given that the duration of the affair was 10 months and was emotional, then there's a fair bet that the AP had caught feelings for her. Maybe the AP didn't take being discarded quite as well as she hoped and threatened exposure. Besides, others knew. Affairs don't happen in silos, especially amongst coworkers or young people with gossipy friends. Loose tongues cost lives. This would have eventually been drawn to your attention. It makes sense for her to confess. It's the pragmatic answer. Either the marriage gets annulled before it starts and she's young and pretty enough to start again, and there are no entanglements like kids or significant financial investments to unpick, or you take it and move on. Her decision is quite a clinical one, possibly. She didn't want to lose you and knew what your deal breakers would be, so conveniently left those out. No way you forgive a 10-month affair that only ended through lifestyle changes. If your engagement had run for, say, another 2 years, then would the affair have carried on for that amount of time too? Interesting that her L was considered a deal breaker. I guess that she always claimed to hate it, and it's a bit of a rarity in your marriage. AP getting special treatment is hard to get past. In the interest of balance, you describe your marriage as good and as has been for 15 years. Hindsight is 20/20. I don't see you divorcing over this. No doubt you wouldn't have gone through with the marriage had you know everything 15 years ago, though. I'd carry on pumping your source a bit more before making a decision. There are certain questions that I'd want clarity on. 1. Did the affair really end before the marriage? 2. Who else knew? 3. How did AP take the breakup? 4. Why did she really confess? In the meantime, start protecting yourself financially. When this comes out, either in a controlled sit-down chat or in the future during a row in an uncontrolled way, you need to be able to have an exit strategy if you require one. Always prepare for the worst-case scenario where infidelity is concerned. A lovely 15-year-plus wife can transform into a hellion at the flick of a switch. Story 2. She cheated with my brother-in-law, told me he had a big member. The person who I loved and cared for nearly a quarter of my life suddenly turned into the nastiest and coldest person I've ever met. I was an incredibly loyal partner to her all these 4 years of living together, cooking and cleaning for her every day, coming back early from work or with friends to be with her or to get her what she craved, was patient and supportive for her through all her emotional and immature behaviors. I was willing to do anything and gave all and everything that I could for her. But the past couple of months before the separation, I began to have fights with her, ranging from lashing out, being cold to her momentarily, and blaming her for little things. I was ashamed for all of those behaviors, and I made sure that she knew so and always apologized and took responsibility in the end. We both knew I wasn't like this before, so I went and got diagnosed and started treatment. I was only 7 days into the treatment before she discarded me. The morning after she came back from her business trip, hours before blindsiding me as I was sleeping in our bedroom, she shamed and invalidated my mental struggles to her close friend, even going as far as to send a video of how her new supply looked like to the friend. This new supply was a co-worker she had met and known for only a few days from her business trip. I discovered this from going through her messages after the breakup. The person who I loved and cared for nearly a quarter of my life suddenly turned into the nastiest and coldest person I've ever met, changed the locks of our apartment, called me toxic and a man-child. I knew I wasn't treating her the best like I used to the past couple of months this year, but I took an effort to combat it and to change for the better. Did I deserve being betrayed and disrespected like this? Is she justified in all the pain, misery, and humility from her friends that she inflicted upon me? I still can't get it through my head. Reader comment. Okay, so here it goes. Cheaters are liars and manipulators. It wasn't your fault she cheated. You did nothing wrong to make her cheat. You deserve better than a cheater. A person who cheats proves they don't love or respect you. Remember that. And when she comes crawling back, ghost and block her. Original poster. Thank you so much for the clarity. I spend too much time looking up stories relating to cheating and emotional abuse and can't help thinking that my behavioral mistakes pushed her to do what she did. Reader comment. If your name is on the lease, she can't keep you out. You live there and have lived there, and it is your residence. Tell her to let you in to get your stuff or you will call the police and file theft charges. Original poster. I moved out immediately an hour after the discard and took my name off the lease the day after. I've packed what I could, and she's already donated all my stuff apparently. Some items I forgot that I've had for years are gone. It hurts. Reader comment. Damn, she's brutal. Sorry, Opus. Better people, things to come. You dodged a bullet. You might not see it now, but in the not-so-distant future you will. Try not to blame yourself. Relationships have ups and downs. So, you went through a rough patch. Shrug, you're human. She wasn't there for you. She's not your person. Story 3. I'm losing my mind over my wife's infidelity. Wife and I have been married almost 28 years. Like any other marriage, we've had ups and downs. I had an affair 17 years ago with a woman at work and she caught me. We came very close to divorce, but we managed to get through it. I like to think we're stronger than ever and our sex life has never been better. We've even played with others and I would happily let her have unromantic sex with other men if that's what she wanted. Even better if I was a part of it. Unfortunately, I think she wants to EFF my sister's husband. We spend our sad summer evenings at their home to play music and get a little high. Wife is very flirty and fun, but when she gets high on edibles, she loses her scruples and goes too far. Thankfully, she is very honest, and on our way home one night said there was some playful roughhousing that got a little gropey with the bill. He told her he's always been attracted to her and would love to sleep with her. He told her that he does everything and would EFF her all day long if he had the chance. I made it very clear that night she needs to stop before someone gets hurt. If it were anyone else, I'd find it amusing and SXY, but I can't have my sister and their son getting hurt. The drugs are clouding her judgment and she's risking an awful fallout. She agreed, and while I remain guarded and watchful, nothing else happened that I know of. A couple months pass. Summer is over and we went with my sister and Bill to their son's school fundraiser party. To my disappointment, she takes an edible and when she thinks it's not going to work, she has a few drinks. I don't do well in large crowds of strangers. It was very hot, loud. I became uncomfortable in my fancy clothes and the smells of the food started to make me feel ill. This progressed quickly into the worst panic attack I've ever experienced. I told my wife that I needed to leave and gave her the choice to stay and go home with my sister and I would pick her up later or she could leave with me at that moment. She stays. I'm out and couldn't be happier to walk out the door. The 15-minute drive home was barely enough to recover and within a few minutes of arriving and changing my clothes she texted me to come pick her up. The edible has kicked in and she's too high, drunk. When I arrived, she was outside with Bill by his car with nobody else around. I'm immediately suspicious and sweating again. As soon as she gets in the car, I can tell something has happened. Sure enough, she says she has to tell me something and I tell her to wait until we get home. I need to focus on driving and not having another panic attack. She's really high and needs to eat. While we are going through a drive-thru, she says Bill has a huge member, and my stomach sinks. I'm really barely keeping it together in the first place. I ask, how do you know this? And she says she grabbed it while waiting for me to come pick her up. She felt him through his pants and got him hard. She says there wasn't any kissing. but she felt him several times in the course of 10 minutes. He tried to touch her, but she had a difficult dress on. I didn't say anything for a long time. I make it very clear I'm not happy about this. We drive home mostly in silence except for her crying. She knows she effed up bad. She's scared. The time gives me the chance to get my thoughts together and figure out how to deal with this. I don't want to hurt her by being cruel. She's got a lot on her mind and the drugs are pushing her to behave badly. I'm also terrified that she will become suicidal. We spend about a half an hour just sitting in the car going through it all. She sees how horrible it is. She feels really rotten. And I'm worried she's going to sink into a depression and that will be terrible for us both. She also has a hysterectomy scheduled in a few days. We decide that this is the only time we are going to discuss the issue, and we are going to move on. I insist she communicate to him that the shenanigans are done. No more. We've seen him a few times since her surgery, and everything seems normal. I've had difficult moments when it comes to my mind. She says she hasn't had a chance to say anything to him about nothing happening again. Him and the sister are now vacationing in Florida until March. I even check her phone now and then, reminding her to not be too flirty with him and take the first opportunity to re-establish healthy boundaries. She reassures me. She says when they return, she will. Early Christmas morning, I was awake in bed and reviewing some recipes I will be making that day. She wakes up and acts very suspicious about what I'm doing on my phone. This sticks out to me. She falls back asleep and, in the darkness, I decide to have better look at her phone. First, I check her recently deleted photos. There are a couple titty drop videos taken a few days ago. Videos I hadn't seen. My heart is pounding now, hands shaking, sweat is pouring. I go to her messages and there's several recently deleted that can be restored. She sent him 2 of the videos and some suggestive language that he should reciprocate. For days now, I've been secretly restoring her deleted messages, recording them with my phone and redeleting them. She's telling him she wishes she was there. She's soliciting him for more texts, maybe photos or sexting. He must be waiting for my sister to be away because he hasn't sent anything risque. I'm worried that their sharing will get more intense once my sister makes a planned trip back home next week. I don't want a divorce. I don't want her to be hard on herself. I don't want my sister to find out. I want them to stop. I'm scared that my trust in her is going to be destroyed by this experience. I'm scared this is going to ruin us. Simultaneously, I'm feeling like a horrible hypocrite for what I did to her all those years ago. Who the F am I to hold her accountable? Wait, I didn't do what I did with family. I'm not sure how to handle this. The panic attacks and anxiety over this are excruciating. I'm legitimately scared this could trigger a heart attack or breakdown. Do I let this go as far as they are willing to take it on the phone and stop them before he returns from vacation in March? Part of me anticipates her trying to make light of everything so far, and catching them making plans would carry a lot of weight. What would you do? Reader comment. This is cheating on a major scale. She wants him, his big member, and your feelings, your sister's feelings, don't count. She makes daily decisions to lie and gaslight. She hides her conversations. Secrecy, lack of transparency, and trust kills marriages, and they are in the affair fog. You might read up on this, but for sure go read Chump Lady Leave a Cheater Gain a Life. He'll buy it and leave it out on the coffee table. Also read up on the Pick Me Dance, Grey Rock, and 180. You have some reading to do. She gets high as an excuse to do what she does. Ops, I made a mistake is a lie. She planned it, took the drugs and drinks intentionally, and then took advantage. Frankly, you don't do anything drunk or stoned that you didn't want to do already. It's just a lousy excuse. Your Bill and WW are both pos. He's got a big member and is aggressive about flaunting it. She is not his only conquest. First talk with 3 divorce attorneys and choose one. Then do what they say, but it will include much of the following. Document everything. Confront your wife. You then have to share what you know with your sister. Give her documents. Your Bill needs outing to protect your sister. This isn't his only time. Separate your finances and cancel any joint credit cards. Make sure she can't empty your savings or retirement funds. Do not abandon your house unless told to by your attorney. Tell your wife to separate. Pack up her things while you think this out. What she does next will be telling. Might shack up with your Bill. Then you are done for sure. You do not have to go through with the divorce. She just needs to know you are serious. But she needs to hit the wall here. Know how serious you are. Then try a CNMC if she is agreeable, but read up on reconciliation. She has to show both regret and remorse. Regret is she is sorry she did this for whatever reason. Remorse is she shows you empathy for the horrible emotions you are going through and does all of the heavy lifting in counseling, including never talking to your Bill again. So, parents and family need to know about their deception. The only watch out is if the Bill is violent. Be careful, and I would suspect that your wife's initial reaction is this is your fault. It will be the first thing she says. She will blame you for everything, say nothing really happened, or I won't do it again, and then, who knows if she will go to IC. MC for very long. It sounds rather difficult unless you are willing to accept what she did. 10. Rebuild. That's a start. But the rebuilding of trust is a multi-year effort. Reader comment. You cheated in the past. You worked through it. She is cheating on you now. Two wrongs don't make a right. Once the affair between them started, you made it clear that it is not okay. What was the consequence you gave her if this continued? Because she is clearly not ending this affair, and you're not following through with whatever the consequence to her actions was. Even if this was revenge over you cheating years ago, even if you feel guilty because you cheated years ago and can't seem to tell her to stop since you've done it, this is your family that she's doing this with. You need to tell your sister. You need to be on your sister's side. It's not fair to her that she's the only one here that doesn't know what's going on. She needs to make the decision of what she and her husband need to do. It takes two to make a marriage work. The affair clearly has to end in order to save your relationship and the relationship with your family. If she doesn't stop, then this marriage is just one-sided. You need to set the boundaries of no contact with the bill. She can't take edibles in public anymore. She clearly has no self-control when she's using. If she can't follow through any of this, it won't work, and you won't be able to continue to trust her. You said thankfully she's very honest, but she's not. She keeps lying, saying it'll stop, and she's still continuing.